You ever felt that pinch in the front of your hip when you're trying to do conventional deadlifts? You know, the lower you try to get your hips, the more painful it gets. What you might not realize is that you have a hip mobility issue, but don't freak out. Today I'm going to show you an alternative to conventional deadlifts that you can do so you can keep training and making progress without having to take time off while you work on your hip. Now before we dive in, I do want to mention that we do have a free mobility tools that I put together in the link below that include a hip exercise you can do to eliminate the pinch and get ready to crush those deadlifts from the floor. All right guys, you guys ready for this? Let's do this. Coach Pippin here, and over the last 15 years, I've helped over 1,000 professional, collegiate, and everyday athletes move, feel, and perform at their highest level. And today, I'm going to show you one of my favorite alternatives to the conventional deadlift that you can use if you're experiencing a pinch in your hip. So essentially what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to swallow our pride and we're going to work on deadlifting from a higher platform. Now some people call these rack pulls, deadlifts off of blocks, partial deadlifts, whatever you want to call it. The whole point is that we're eliminating how much hip flexion and internal rotation of the hip that is required from pulling from the floor. Now I know you guys are always obsessed with like, oh, we have to pull from the floor. Well, guess what? It ain't worth it if you keep pissing off that hip, because then eventually you're going to make your hips so bad that you're not going to be able to do any deadlifts. So this is a great alternative while you're working on that hip mobility. So what I like to do is first start out with testing what your active hip flexion is. So what that means is, it's not pulling this up, but it's slowly seeing how high you can get your hip. And then once you figure out that height, now you want to figure out how close your knees have to be. So if I'm here and I feel that pinch already, I need to lower and come out a little bit. Now, if I don't feel a pinch here, that's where that leg's going to go. Now I'm going to do the other leg, same thing. Figure out where that is and I'm out. The wider your knees are, the more external rotation you're going to be in, which means you're not going to be pissing off that hip as much. So once you find that out, then you go to set up your bar, okay? So you do the same thing you would normally do for your conventional deadlift, but now your feet are just going to be a little bit wider. It's okay, eventually you'll be able to get back to it as long as you keep working on that hip mobility. So from here, now I know where I have to be. I got a 45-pound bumper and a 25 to get it off the ground. Use whatever you got. The gym's got something, you can always use plates. So I just get in my here, and now if I keep my knees out, I don't feel a pinch here anymore. Whereas if I was a little bit closer and having to get all the way to the floor, it's inevitable you're going to get that pinch. And you just do everything you would normally do for a deadlift. So the way I kind of coach deadlifts, make sure my knees are nice, I pull that slack, I drive through my heels, and I come up and finish, just like you would do for a normal deadlift, coming back down as well. So to recap, define what your stance has to be and how high you need the bar. You want to do the active hip flexion test, figure out where that is where you don't feel the pinch, and then once you're there, open the knee out and see how wide your knees have to be. Then you make your setup for your deadlift so that way you can continue to deadlift and still get all those gains while you work on your hip mobility. If you guys have any questions or comments on this, be sure to post them below. And if tips like this are helpful to you, go ahead and hit me a like or a share so I know what videos you guys want to see more of. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you're not missing out on all of the awesome content we have coming your way. Until next time guys, remember to be strong, be mobile.